Hello everyone, today we will be building the easy Nemesis. So we're going to go ahead and begin the instructional build by gathering the materials necessary. For this build you will need clear tape or any type tape that you have. A hot glue gun is recommended for a couple sections and a pair of scissors. You will also, if you would like, you can use a razor blade to remove excess tape from the section. You're gonna want to begin by removing the paper from the parts before beginning the process, just because it's going to remove the weight and it's also required to apply the tape to the foam pieces. So in this part, we're gonna go ahead and begin with the centerpiece and the wings. We begin by applying just a one piece of paper on each side. You're also going to want to make sure to cut off any excess tape using scissors or a razor blade. Using a razor blade will provide more accurate results, or a small pair of scissors as well. In this case, I was just using a pair of scissors that I had. It did the job, but there was still a couple of pieces left, but it still worked. Now we will flip the centerpiece and the wings 180 degrees to the other side, and we will repeat the same process. In this section, however, we're going to want to make sure to use the dihedral gates to apply the lift angle on the wings. You're going to want to make sure to press on this center section to then apply that piece of tape and create that crease that will give that perfect lift angle. Now we just do the same process to the other wing and you should be good to go. Once again, remove the excess tape just so that there's less weight on the plane and you have a cleaner work area. So now that we have completed the center section and the wings, we'll begin to move on to work on the center section and the fuselage. So we adjust the nose doublers and apply just a small layer of hot glue. Remember, you don't want to add too much glue to this section just because it would create too much weight on the plane and it will not let it lift properly. So once we have one section dry, we'll go ahead and begin the same process on the other side. Just make sure everything is properly aligned. And once we have this section complete, we slide the centerpiece onto the main fuselage and make sure to align the pieces and push gently onto the tabs. You want to go ahead and take your time with this just so that you don't break any of the pieces. If some of the pieces do break, don't worry, it's no big problem. Just go ahead and apply just a little bit of glue or just a small layer of tape. Remember that you can always just adjust your center of gravity at the end. So now we go ahead and move on to apply a small portion of glue onto the rail, and this is to keep everything together and just reinforce the section. Now we move on to add the vertical fins onto the whole assembly. Now these vertical fins are both asymmetrical, so you don't have to worry about which side faces the correct way. You just want to make sure to align it properly to that crease that was applied at the beginning with the deheater angle because that's where you want the air pressure applied. And just make sure that everything is properly aligned so that you have the proper build. Once you have everything aligned, just go ahead and add a small portion of glue. This is again to reinforce the sections. Adding tape will probably work, but at the end it will end up falling off and not create the proper drag onto the fins. Once you have one section dry, just go ahead and repeat the same process onto the other fin. And with everything dry, we now have gone ahead and completed the build. We will now go ahead and move on to adding the electrical components onto the build. You will want to add the left and right motors accordingly with tape onto the sections where the motors go attached. Now to make sure that you're applying these accordingly, you can go ahead and put the plane in front of you, like if you're looking at it straight down in front of the cockpit, and that should be your left and right motors. We will now go ahead and mount the control board onto the build. Just go ahead and remove it from the housing by applying just a small amount of pressure onto the tab where it should be easily released. Now you will want to connect the motor leads accordingly to its color code. It should be white and blue. Just go ahead and follow the code onto the boards. Be gentle with this because they are small connections. If you need, you can go ahead and use a small pair of pliers that should be used for electrical connections. Now you're going to want to apply a small portion of glue to the control board and glue onto the side of the rail. You can just go ahead and add it right there, and then where the cable connections are, we will then adjust our center of gravity. Now we connect the control board with the battery. I have the battery charging for the meantime just because you want to make sure that you have a battery for the next purpose. Now place the battery through the open section of the rail, and then after you do this, you're going to want to make sure to check your center of gravity outside by gliding or indoors. Just make sure you have enough space. Now the build should be done, and just add batteries to the control and then follow the connection process. Thank you guys.